Hi everyone, Lux here. It's been a while. February has been a very busy month. Also, the past year has been a very busy month. But congratulations are in order. I have officially, as of July 2025, graduated from uni. So that was great. I've done my course on film and television production. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I did not get it. I did not do speech. I just walked up, shook someone's hand, and was like, you know what? That's it. That's it. That's all I did, and I just sat there in the room for another probably hour, so that everyone else could get their awards. Congratulations to all those people as well, and yeah, unemployed, but we're getting there. I've been very busy with projects. That will be its own video. I feel just going over all the things I've been doing for the past. I want to say 6 months at this point, if I'm saying that correctly. Probably more than 6 months now, since July. I'm sure post production Lux will correct me if I'm wrong. So recently, the Oscars were aired, and I think award season for the most part is over. I believe. So I actually wanted to take this opportunity to actually talk about what my favorite films for 2025 were. In my opinion, I think 2025 has been a pretty cool year for filmmaking in general. We've seen a lot of really cool films come out of 2025. And the award season was pretty good. Again, Sinners won Best Original Screenplay, and Autumn Arkapour won Best Cinematographer, which, yes, that film has amazing cinematography, but I will get to that later. This video itself is about me talking about my 5 favourite films were from 2025. That year, well, last year, rather. Last year, I went to the cinema the most I've ever been to in a long time. And that's in due part thanks to my friends and the people I work with, to where I was invited out to go and see these films in my local cinema. And it was a really fun experience. I really enjoyed it. I literally, right out the gate of 2025, went to go and see Nosferatu. Because in the UK it released on the 1st of January. So for me, that was a pretty good start of the year, in terms of being social with people, going to the cinema, that kind of thing. Overall, I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And I also feel this year I've also kind of gained a lot more experience as a filmmaker. I remember probably last video I actually ever recorded was me talking about the projects I had been a part of and what I've learned from them. Since then, I've done a lot more, and it's been really cool, in terms of what I have and haven't done. Haven't done? Yeah, I haven't done that one producing gig that I really wanted. That didn't happen. I am a post production producer, sort of, for overdevelopments. So yeah, that's fun. I'm also the editor, so yeah. I've done a lot. That's going to be its own video. I want to talk about that as almost like a part two, but this video itself is about something else entirely. So my criteria for these films, obviously them being released in 2025, technically speaking, what I've learned from them, having watched them, and what lessons have I taken away by watching them, and what have I enjoyed about them, and what do I think that specific film's strength was, especially. Without any further ado, let's just get started and let's talk about our film. I also want to preface these films are in no particular order, maybe apart from the last one. The last one is at the top of my list, but the rest are not in any particular order in terms of what I enjoyed, what they were about, that kind of thing. I just want to preface that right off the bat. These films are all just amazing, and I really think you should go and watch them because they're just so good. I honestly wouldn't not I could not recommend them enough in terms of films that have come out in the past year. Let's begin with a little number, a little ditty. K-pop Demon Hunters. My God, I love that film. It is I I really think for me that film is probably one of my favorite animated films. I know some little things here and there, like the way that the frame rate of how the characters are animated is really unique. I absolutely love songs like Golden, Your Idol, This Is What It Sounds Like, Takedown. All those were so good. And I really think like it coming out last year was just an amazing experience. I think it was really fun to watch, a really good journey, and I think its main themes in the film were also just as like I think empowering is the word I want to go for. At its heart, K-pop Demon Hunters is a story about found family and personal growth. Again, you see Huntrix develop throughout the film. Like, obviously, they already consider themselves a found family, but with obviously Rumi keeping the secret that she's like half demon, half human, it really then develops something a little bit more at the last act of the film, the last scene of the film, where that gets accepted by the other two members of Huntrix. And I really think the way that, especially the music, examines that personal growth, I think is especially powerful in a way. Because while I would say Golden is obviously meant to symbolize all of Huntrix, like all their different backgrounds, like their choices, not being what people wanted them to be, but instead being what they wanted to be. And I think that's a very empowering message to have, especially in what would be considered a children's animation film. That being said, animation, not all animation is just for children. Like, people of all ages have really enjoyed K-pop Demon Hunters, and it is just, like I said, it's a phenomenal film. And I love how, like I said, Golden is perceived as being this song about just Huntrix, but it is also about Rumi trying to be more than she fears that she is. Again, she has this fear that she's just a demon. She's just whatever monster she believes she is. But in reality, she is like a person. She's a person who loves what she does, has a soul for what she wants to do, and ultimately like loves the other members of Huntrix. And you can see that in the other song of What It Sounds Like, because it is that the lyrics of that song are specifically about banding together with your people, your community, and being able to, again, rise to the occasion, do what you want to do in life, and having that support to fall back on. It sets a really good tone for how I feel a lot of found family relationships can be. Speaking personally, I've found a lot of love and support in my sort of found family with my different friends that I work with at Psychic Visions and everything like that. And I can say from experience, like, having that found family network is a just genuinely amazing feeling to have, because you know that you are cherished, you know you're supported, and you can give that to other people as well. And I think that's something that, as a society nowadays, we should be striving towards. We should be aiming towards those elements of community so that people can feel supported. They have a network to go to. And I think that's something that is especially important for life in these current circumstances. For me, K-pop Demon Hunters really became a fan favorite for me. Mostly because of the music. I've had Golden or Your Idol on repeat on my playlist, like for a good I can't remember when I watched the film. I watched the film at some point, but I can't remember when I watched it. But it is a solid movie to go and watch, have fun with it, and then go and download the music and listen to that on repeat for God knows how long. What I've learned from it personally is that even though I'm not a musical person, I think it really, and you'll see with this with another film later on in this list, is I feel like humanity's relationship to music can often be. I need to stop moving. I'm so sorry. I've got the camera on my gimbal, and every time I move anything on my desk, it just decides like, have fun editing that, Lux. But yeah, I feel like for me, music is a very human element, and I feel like you associate a lot of emotion with music and sound, because you can listen to a song and it can have a different meaning to each person. It can make you feel inspired, it can make you feel loved, it can make you feel just like full of fuck you energy, because why not, you know? And I think that's something that I appreciate a lot about something like K-pop Demon Hunters is that the songs in it are just amazing, and the songwriting that goes into it, the vocals and all other things that I do not understand about music. Like I never really learnt music, I'll admit this. I'm talking about it from purely a consumer point of view. It is a really just it's a soul filled movie, and I feel like it reflects that in its narrative, in music, in its writing. It's just overall, it's a really just amazing film, and I'm really happy that I have watched it because it's made me have a greater appreciation for music and yeah, all the other like sappy stuff, Alright, moving on to a horror movie, Weapons. I don't know how to explain Weapons to someone without going into how much I love it as this wacky horror comedy hybrid genre. It's just amazing, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every moment and I was watching it. I want to just like give people a bit of an insight. I don't usually get stressed when I am watching a movie, Weapons specifically is a movie that I was just like had a lot of fun watching and got very stressed, very tense watching it as well. It's kind of one of those movies that you will sit in the cinema and you will audibly gasp when something happens. I like horror. Horror games I find easier. Horror movies I have no control over. So like a lot of the time, and my friend will back me up on this. The entire time, like a good chunk of the time when I was watching Weapons, I was just like, no. I go into fight or flight mode, right? So if I'm just like, no, go away. And I really like Weapons. It's a really just, it's so much fun to watch. And I think the way that the mystery is incorporated with the plot of the film, it ties together so well. I think something specifically that I like about Weapons is the absurdity of it and how it functions as a horror, right? And what I mean by absurdity is when you have scenes like, and again, spoilers, like the final scene where like all of the children are then like chasing down Gladys as she's like running through different houses. it's like it's like terrifying, right? It's terrifying to have that many children then like chasing after this person, and you know what's going to happen. It's just going to be brutal when they eventually do catch up to her, and it is. It's very brutal, in fact. But you were just sitting there as an audience member, being like, "What?" And I found it like just really just baffling in a good way, of course. Like I've not in recent memory I've not had a film where I've been both scared, laughing, and also just completely baffled, like kind of not in shock as such, but like completely baffled by what's going on in the script, in what's going on in screen. It's really weird. It's funny. I love it. I like it a lot. I think it's a really just. I could go deeper into an analysis on these, but this is meant to be a shorter video. And I find Weapons to be such an interesting, fun film. Another thing that I really like about Weapons is how the narrative works from going from different perspectives of like different people in the community. You've got the principal, you've got a police officer, you've got the teacher, you've got a dad. Like, I love the way you get all these elements of the story, and it's through different perspectives. I think the most harrowing one is through the kid himself, when you are watching that and seeing what's going on inside the house, and the way these people are being basically possessed, more or less, by Gladys. And it's so unsettling. It's really unsettling. It's tense. And it kind of like activates almost like an instinctual fear, because when you see these people who are like completely motionless, they're just waiting for something. They're waiting for an order to be given, right? And it's like, oh god, I don't like this. What if they just get up suddenly? And again, when like the guy the homeless guy breaks into the house to try and like steal stuff, it is terrifying when the parents are just sitting on the sofa and they're just like they're not doing anything, but then they move and it's like, oh god, I hate it. It's creepy. But I love the film so much. Walking away from that film, I was just very tired. I was very drained because I felt like I had basically been on fight or flight mode the entire time watching that film. Because I was like, oh god, what's going to happen? I'm constantly stressed. This person's making a bad decision. Why are they doing that? Stop it. It's just really fun. And I think it shows the importance of having that mystery and story symbiosis and making sure that if one is working, the other has to work. And I think that's what makes Weapons for me work really well as a film. It's so good. I love it. Moving on to the next film, this one was just very emotionally draining, and I was very upset. The Long Walk. I really like The Long Walk. I don't even ever really see a lot of these films on the list will share the same thing of I either watched one trailer, and that's when I went to the cinema, or I have not watched any trailers for it at all. And The Long Walk is one I have seen a trailer for, but like it was like a while ago before I had like actually went to go and watch it, right? For me, The Long Walk is a very harrowing film. I remember going to the cinema to watch it, and I was, again, like Weapons, very stressed the entire time, but also very moved, and I emotionally resonated with it a lot. Because of how the characters were designed, the relationships were intentionally, like, again, created between characters, and you would have these moments where you're seeing these very human reactions from the actors, from the characters, and you're like, oh god, they're gonna do this. This is terrible. This is a bad idea. Why are you doing this? Like, as a person in this society, you can't fathom doing something like The Long Walk. You see how fascism and militarism is expressed in this film. Like, let's do this, and you get one wish. You get to make one change that's forever implemented, basically. And it's just a really fascinating experience to be a part of when you're watching that film. I also think it's such a simplistic premise as well. Like, oh, you have to basically walk until you die, or you're the last person standing. Walking, technically speaking, but never mind that. But the characters inform the setting of the film super well. Like, I can understand the world that it's set in just based off following these characters and purely just these characters alone. Yes, we get a few flashbacks. I think maybe just the one flashback, actually. I might be wrong on that. But it's one of those things where, like, you're watching this film and you're kind of like, you're so invested in these characters, and then when they are killed, you have to watch. It's brutal. Like, you see these characters crying out for dear life as they are injured or they can't go anymore, they're exhausted. It is like so heartbreaking to watch characters like this die. And you get so attached to them so easily because the writers know what they're doing with the character relationships. And it's just like so disturbing when you watch it. Like I said, the main strength for this film is the character writing. I think it does really well with making you care about these characters and learning about their story as they continue through this long walk, essentially. It's just one of those things which I think the film does so well at creating that tension and stress that you're trying not to think about anything else, but you're so honed in on these characters. You're like, okay, what are you going to do? Is there a way that you can get out of this? Someone's going to have to, like, by the last, 10 minutes of the film, one of them's going to have to die. Because that's how the game works. You can't cheat the game, unfortunately. And I think the ending is just really just it's really depressing, but it leaves it open to like, okay, what's happened basically? Like, did he die at the end? Did he just continue walking? Or did he feel that just sense of freedom after he shot the colonel? It really makes you think about the way that stories are told and how they are communicated to the audience. I think it's an especially effective method of creating tension in such a simplistic premise that I think The Long Walk as a film just does so well. Yeah, I walked away from that. I walked away from that film just very drained, and emotionally exhausted because I was just like, oh boy, I don't know what to think. I'm just wow. The film itself has a lot of really interesting political arguments, as well as like arguments about the human mind. Like, how far are you willing to go for this? If you're told you have to keep walking, but you get to make one wish that might change your life, might change other people's lives. If you're told that, like, what do you do? Do you just continue going? Like, how do you feel like knowing after like how many people are then killed? Right? It's a game showification. That's a word I've just made up. Showification of people's struggles, right? And I think it's just so brutal. It's very brutal of a film. Could it have been more brutal? Probably. I have not read the book. I've heard different opinions of the book. I don't know enough to make an opinion myself, but as a film itself, my god, it is just like it is exhausting to watch. It's just very stressful. But it is a really good film. And on an additional note, one thing that I want to add to how well this film makes you stress out is the moments where a character stops for just a little too long. And you're almost like, you're intent, like, no, obviously not in the cinema. Don't shout in the cinema. That's rude. That's stupid. That's inconsiderate of everyone that's come to pay a ticket to go there. You're like internally screaming, like, come on, keep moving. Stop stopping. You need to move now, otherwise you're going to get shot. And there's characters that will stop for like moments at a time because they're exhausted, but then they're motivated by other people around them to keep going, keep going. You have to maintain that speed. And it's ultimately like a really stressful situation to watch. And then when you get these characters that can just go on no longer and you're forced to just sit there and watch as soldiers are counting down and moving to kill, it's a really just sad and ultimately just, again, brutal thing to watch. It's allowed me to have a lot of like really cool conversations with people about the film, and also like just exploring the political connotations that the film talks about and showcases, and whether covertly or overtly showcases, which I think is a really good thing for a film to explore. Moving away from horror for a little bit, we are going to talk about the history of sound. This film kind of destroyed me a little bit, I'm not going to lie. It made me very sad afterwards. I was recommended this from a really cool friend of mine. Jesus Christ, this film made me think a lot. As films should, as media should. It should make you think. Activate your critical thinking skills today. There's no coupon included with this, but just do it. Just do your critical thinking skills, please. I don't know why I'm going with a bit. I've really been wanting to write a sketch for a while, so this might just give me the motivation to do it just off that alone. The history of sound is a really insightful journey into how we as humans interact with music and, again, sound. It's a really beautiful, I might say, interpretation of how we especially will associate memory and emotion with specific songs. I'm sure any other person, especially neurodivergent people, will agree with me on this when we say we have that one song in our playlist we will put on repeat for like hours, right? There's a lot of songs that I will just have on repeat for hours, and I will literally assign a specific emotion to that song. And when I listen to that song, that song, I've said song so many times in just a single sentence, that will provide so much emotion and so many feelings to yourself. Now, you might listen to something that might be a boss battle soundtrack, and it might make you feel really epic, like you're conquering Radagon, the second Elden Lord, or of the Golden Order, whatever his title is. But then you might listen to another soundtrack and like, oh god, I'm really depressed now. I'm really sad, and that's something that I have thought about a lot. And I had a conversation with the same person that recommended this film to me, um, about this kind of thing, and they recommended this film for that specific reason. So I went to go and watch it, and I was like, wow, this is like, I love this film a lot. It's really interesting. The film itself explores the idea of like folk music and music that it can be very, that's from like kind of your own culture especially. And I feel like it's a very interesting element to explore that I don't see in a lot of media nowadays. When you have a song that might sound sad, but to the people that are singing it, it's about family, for instance. Again, like I said, going back to K-pop Demon Hunters, music has a very strong connection to people, to humans. We as humans want to make music that reflects our experiences, our life, and what we want in life, especially. And I feel like for something like History of Sound, it showcases that really well, alongside a queer love story that ultimately becomes so tragic, especially. And like I said, this film resonates with me a lot as someone who is neurodivergent, and I have multiple different songs that I will listen to that are from different periods and stages of my life, and some of it is like I don't want to be reminded of that again. Some of it is I will listen to that and specific memories will come up, and whether they are good or bad, that is subjective element, unfortunately. I really feel like with the History of Sound, it really makes you question how you as a person feel about art, I feel. And I feel like especially with obviously art being political and everything basically being political, music is also one of those things that is political. And ultimately, you have to sit there and think, how does this song, when I listen to it, make me feel? It's like going to go and see a painting in a gallery, for instance. Like, no music, no sound, look at it. What emotion, what do you get from looking at that? What do you think about when you go there and look at that painting? And it's the exact same thing for music. What do you think? What do you hear? How do you feel when you hear that sound? What does it make you feel? Whether it's pop, rock, country. I'm trying to think of other rap, for instance, and other like. There's so many genres of music out there that are so like indie, culturally significant, that kind of thing. And I feel like we as people, humans especially, we are so sensitive to what we feel if we allow those emotions to come through. And I feel like History of Music really showcases that, especially in like the last few scenes of that film. It's really sad, I'm gonna be honest. It made me, I don't know if I can't remember if I cried or not, but I just felt so deflated. But also I could resonate with that feeling of hearing a song and it makes you think of a very specific time in your life that you look back at with either happiness or sadness or it's just a very important thing. And I feel like that especially is so important because I feel like a person's music taste does ultimately define who they are as a person, how they feel, what they look at. Especially if you look at the political connotations behind certain genres of music. And I feel like it's an especially important thing to analyze about yourself and look into yourself about. Yeah, I could go on for ages about this film, but ultimately, when I finished it, it gave me a better insight in how I view myself and my relationship to music, as an artist, as a filmmaker. Honorable mention, and I mentioned this earlier, Nosferatu. I went to go and see. This was the first film I saw last year. Literally the first film I had seen in 2025, released on the 1st of January. I went to go and see it on opening night, I believe. I believe it was opening night for the UK. I might be wrong. It was a really fun... To call it fun is the wrong word. Because I thought about that film for a while afterwards. And the main thing that I love about it is it gave me a huge appreciation for practical makeup and effects, as well as also costume design. It is just amazing. Like, there's a lot of makeup artists that I've worked with, more or less, and the work that they do in creating a character, or at least cementing a character in the setting that they're in, is really cool, and it's every bit feels intentional. Specifically for Count Orlok, my god, I could not recognize that's Bill Skarsgård, but like it is such a fascinating examination of how someone can look in practical effects, practical makeup, practical costume design. I'm word vomiting at this point. To me, Nosferatu is a really interesting film because I'd only watched one of Robert Eggers. Is it Eggers or is it Eggerson? Hold on, I need to now look. I thought it was Eggerson for some reason. I don't know why. I only watched one film from Robert Eggers before watching Nosferatu, and that was The Witch with Anya Taylor-Joy. I love that film a lot. It was such an interesting, abstract film that I found so fascinating watching that. Nosferatu, just from a design standpoint and iconography standpoint, is such a good film. I love it so much. The cast is absolutely stacked, but especially like Bill Skarsgård, I could sing that man's praises so much. The cinematography was amazing. The iconography was amazing. I love thematics. I love practicality in films, and seeing a film that really inhabits practicality into it, in the makeup, in the design, in so many other elements, right? To me, it makes it a really good film, and I love it a lot. It's so good. Nosferatu, I would recommend anyone to go and watch it. I really love how it examines the relationship between Ellen and Orlok, Count Orlok, and the whole idea of a man feeling like he's entitled to a woman's body and therefore taking away her autonomy. Like, literally, like, explaining to Ellen that basically your husband has basically signed you away, and I'm like, damn, I didn't think about that at the time, but now looking at it again, I'm like, oh damn, that's messed up. That's honestly messed up. It's a very interesting dynamic. It's a very interesting explanation of that. Nosferatu is a really good film. I love it. It's an honorable mention. I'm going to move on to the last film of this list, and you probably, if you know me, you probably know where this is going. Cinema. I love Sinners so much. It is arguably now my favorite film of all time. I have not rewatched it as much as I would like. I've only watched it twice. But I am going to rewatch it again at some point when I have time. But I really like Sinners. It is like the most impactful film to me, and it's not even close, right? And I remember like watching it, I was so hooked, so gobsmacked the entire time watching it. And it's an amazing film. I knew nothing about this going into it for good reason, because I knew that this was going to be a really cool film. I love Sinners so much as a filmmaker. because to me, it very much just examines how passion and hard work and teamwork especially can make a project feel so special and so just amazing to experience. There's so many things I could talk about with Sinners that warrant its own video, I feel. And I feel like the discourse around Sinners is just a really interesting one. And I love hearing different people. I love hearing different creators' opinions about it. I love hearing my friends' opinions about it. And I think it is such a fascinating film to just experience, watch, and then rewatch and see all these different other things and understand it even more and learn these different contexts. It's such a good movie. It is so good. Like, there is a reason it won Best Original Screenplay. There's a reason why Michael B. Jordan won Best Actor. Like, the performances are amazing in that film, and I love it so much. It's so good. It's so good that I could keep talking about it forever. It is like literally my hyperfixation movie because I love it that much. This seems to be a more common theme than I thought it was going to be. The music in this film is so good. Each song has experience in it. Each song has soul in it. Each song has heart in it. Especially I Lied to You and Rocky Road to Dublin. I love those songs so much that I've had them on repeat for like since the film came out. Like, I love Rocky Road to Dublin so much. I love Jack O'Connell as Remick. I love Miles Catton as Sammy. I love Michael B. Jordan as Smoke and Stack. All of the characters are so well written, so well designed. It's an amazing film. There's so many elements that we don't talk about enough. The representation of women in that film is, I think, it also is a really interesting discourse as well. The representation of blues music is, I would recommend anyone that owns the Blu-ray version of Sinners, or even you don't even need the Blu-ray. You can literally, I think, type up on YouTube the behind the scenes of Sinners. You can look at Ryan Coogler's own insights into the film, and it's such an interesting watch to see how he talks about music. He talks about his experiences with music and what it means to him and his family. It's such an amazing film that I would say to anyone, go and watch this. It is so well written. It is so well shot. My God, the cinematography is amazing. There's a reason why Uttam Kapoor won Best Cinematographer. It is so good. The ancestor scene was so well shot. I love how it just blends together. All like different cultures across time blend together, and they create this really just jaw-dropping, gobsmacked scene where you are just in awe of everything that's going on. I really feel like Sinners is one of the best films that I have watched in a very long time. And again, like I said, it's not even close. Seeing how passionate Ryan Coogler is about making Sinners, again, I recommend go and watch the behind the scenes of Sinners. It is such an amazing experience to watch and see how passionate people are about the music, the costume, the production design behind it, the costume design, everything. Everything has an intentional detail to it. It's so good, and I love that film so much that I'm so glad that it won Best Original Screenplay. It is such an amazing film. There are so many other elements of that film that I feel so fascinating to talk about. The hive mind of Remick's vampirism, the juke joint, the contrast between Rocky Road to Dublin and I Lied to You is such an interesting thing to analyze, and how each scene, each musical scene, it has its own connotations with it. And obviously there's the added context of like Remick as a character being a victim of colonization, and in doing so he's actually almost in his own way inflicting that upon other people by assimilating them into the hive mind, essentially, as a vampire. Because it's not a vampire film. Here's the thing. Everyone has said, and everyone will agree, Sinners is not a vampire film. It is a film that has vampires in it. But we can all afterwards agree the actual main villain is the Ku Klux Klan. And I love every bit of that film so much, and I think it is just amazing. And I have learned so much from watching that about myself, that like it makes me so passionate as a filmmaker to see really cool films, and then also want to just grab a team, grab some passion, grab some hard work, and mush it all together and just make something that genuinely feels amazing to watch, and you feel so accomplished by the journey that you've went on to go and watch that and make that, rather. I love filmmaking. I don't know if you can tell. I like film. I love filmmaking so much. So yeah, that's the video. I had so much fun recording this, writing this. It just gave me a lot of ways I can make an outlet of how I feel about the films I've watched this past year, and how I feel as a filmmaker, especially. It's really cool to see people talk about film and what it means to them, and all the other little contexts that other people will like pick up on that I won't. And I love that. I love that so much. And this is a side tangent, I will admit. But if you, as an artist, as a filmmaker, whatever art that you want to do it. Make something. Make something on your phone. Get some friends. It doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be like a Hollywood style production. It can be the most micro budget, no budget thing that you can make. Learn the craft and you will enjoy it. Because at the end of the day, the only person that can make a film about experiences is yourself. And that's a very human thing that I think people need to hang on to, especially in this day and age. My name has been Lux. If you had a good morning, afternoon, and evening. Stay creative. Bye.